Hey, moms.
Hey, daughters.
Serena's going to share a quote.
Money is God in action.
Money is God in action. Welcome to the Juggle is Real,
A mom and daughter show
parenting and mental health,
for moms and teens.
episode
22.
22. Ooh, an angel number. All right. Oh, this is so amazing. Okay, so last week we discovered that I have a little bit of a alternative side to me. So I love talking a little bit about astrology. And in the astrological houses, which is part of the system of astrology, number 2 is the money house. So we are talking today, we are going into the 4th part of our series that we started in 2025, how to support moms, teens, and ourselves in how to create the 2025 by design and not by default. Meaning what, Sabrina?
Life is not linear.
Like, that is true. Life is not linear. And also, if we aren't intentional and we aren't aware of falling back into old ways of our habits, life becomes a program. Life becomes life on autopilot. That becomes a life on default, not by default. Okay, we're starting off strong here. Okay, but here's what my intention is to do today and for the next 4 episodes, and we'll see if we do it because life is not linear. But because money and time, this is going to be a money and time, this is the 4th pillar of the major pillars of our life. So just to review, just to integrate, we talked about relationships. That was the first part of how we launched in 2025, right? We talked about our relationships, and then we talked about our professional life, our career life, and then we talked last week about our well-being. So this week was the 4th part again of the 4-part series, just to make it complicated, time and money. But this, because it's such a heavy topic meaning it's big. It's a big topic to talk about money. We're going to break this down into 4 series. Money is God in Action is a title from a very small book from Charles Raymond Barker. And I learned about this book from my mentor, where I got my life coaching certification from Mary Morrissey. And when she shared about this book, she went to go see Charles Raymond Barker. And one of those, I think it was like in the 1970s when there was a thought movement about energy in our thinking. Okay. And so she went and he went on stage and he held all these dollar bills. This is the opening of his presentation, right? So she goes and she sees, if you all don't know who Mary Morrissey, she's like an OG of life coaching, of transformational thinking. I know you, Wayne Dyer, okay, Bob Proctor. She's amazing. And so back in the day when she was studying about how to really work with our thinking, she has an institute called Brave Thinking Institute. So she went and saw Charles Raymond Barker. And so he comes out on stage and she's like so excited. And he holds money in his hands. He's got like $100 bills in his hands. And he's like, oh, money, I love you. I love you, money. I love you, money. I love you, money. And she said she felt totally disgusted. She's like, I flew all the way here to see him. Like, this is absolutely very revolting. Like, what is happening here? And then he turns around, he basically looks at the audience and he says, so I imagine most of you are thinking that you came here to a spiritual and personal development presentation, a conference, and you're seeing me on stage, like basically worshiping money. And he goes, and what were you thinking? What were you feeling in your body? And he goes, and if you were feeling disgust, if you were feeling a sort of like anger or just complete revolt, he's like, money heard you. Money heard you. And I think that is such a really powerful story, because also what he's saying is that if I held a baby in my hand and I was like, I love you, baby. I love you, baby. Everybody would be like, oh, that's so amazing. Because we are taught to love babies. Like we are taught to I don't like to use the word worship, but this idea of that it's okay to like show our affection
Mhm.
and show our emotions with children, but it's not okay to like show how much we love money, we care about money. Money provides a lot of things for us, not just materialistic things, but a way of how to move about the world. Yes, materialistically, but also of how we can actually serve and give with money.
Mhm.
And so the first part of our series is really to talk and dive deep about our relationship with money. So before we go into like the practical, this is why it's a four-part series. So before we go into like financial literacy and we get all practical about it, which is really important too, I think it's really important for us to share with our audience and really for you to learn
Mhm.
what I learned about relationship with money. Right. It's already said a lot. So what do you think about that?
I like money.
I love that. Why can't you say I love money?
I love money,
I love money. Yeah.
but I have to earn my money.
Okay. All right. Which is true. You have
Mhm.
to earn your money. This is great. So this is actually a segment, right? Because there are associations that we have with money. And
Mhm.
so our relationship with money, one of the first segments that I really wanted to talk about is how our relationship with money is really important, right? For one,
Mhm.
because it lives in our body, as I say this to you, because it is passed down,
Mhm.
right? I'm passing down my beliefs about money get passed down to you, okay? But what's also really important too is that it's to understand that like my mom's money got
Mhm.
passed down to me and her mom's money got passed down to her, which also gets passed down to you
Mhm.
because we shared a nervous system, right?
Mhm.
But being a woman, Serena, did you know that Lola at one point in time needed Lolo's signature? So Lola and Lolo is grandma and grandpa
Mhm.
in the Philippines for the audience who does not know what that means. That women were allowed to open a bank account without a man's co-signature,
Well,
right? And how does that make you feel,
not good.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yes, it's important that we love money
Mhm.
and we have a healthy relationship with money. But I do think there's a sense of responsibility, especially in this way of how we are learning to move humanity forward in a way that is of a higher frequency, a higher vibration, meaning really of love and gratitude. It's really important to understand that it is a responsibility that when we get to do this, that we actually are healing a lineage of women
Mhm.
of how we were disempowered for so long. You know, just the thought of me like one grandma ago, two grandmas ago, that they weren't allowed the same kind of rights that we have now. Like you now, you can get a credit card. You have a credit card.
Mhm.
I didn't have a credit card. Right. And so there are these things that we take for granted that impacts like your relationship with money, but also the sense of responsibility that it's really cool that we get to help heal what has caused a lot of suffering in our biology and with our gender, right? Because what continues to happen too, do you know this?
Yeah.
There's a gap in what men earn and what women earn.
Oh, actually, I didn't know that.
Okay. And do you know what that impacts?
Our rights.
Our rights. Yeah. And our sense of self worth.
Mhm.
Right? And that's why I think it's really important, right? So, in this very first part of our series, I think it's really important. It's really powerful. It's really our responsibility to get really clear on what a healthy relationship is
Mhm.
with money and that it is more than okay to love money. And I say this with you because I am still managing a healthy relationship with money at the ripe age of 51, right? And I'm just going to put a plug in. You know, we have a book launch for anybody that is listening to this or watching this. We are on YouTube. This Tuesday, February 18th, I co authored a book, a chapter. So I wrote a chapter and I co authored a book. There's 24 of us authors, and I wrote about money. And my chapter is called Soul Money, the Art and Science to Alignment. And when I say about it, circling back to your quote, money is God in action, is that I do believe when we understand our relationship with money and how we get to cultivate a relationship with money, we get to really grow a sense of alignment, soul alignment within us. And when I say alignment, and I say it holistically, a way for us to get to really grow practically,
Mhm.
really be playful and fun and inspired with our money, to really have a healthy relationship with money. So that's emotions, and then really get to use it in a way that gets to enhance the mental aspects of us, our thinking aspect of us, how we continue to get to learn and educate and pass on that knowledge. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So let's talk about some of the money habits that I've already passed on to you. These are like these associations again. So let's talk about your relationship with money. How will I pass down?
I go shopping a lot.
And what does that mean?
Well, because of my public school, I get to leave campus for lunch or like whenever I want. And so I'll be like, do you want to go to Starbucks with my friends?
Mhm.
Probably about twice a week.
Twice with
Yeah. And then sometimes I'll go out to lunch
uh-huh.
if it's not Starbucks.
And who pays for that?
Me,
Uh-huh. And how do
my
you pay
money.
for that?
I work and I make an allowance.
Mhm. And how much is your allowance?
$10, but $2 goes to savings and $1 goes to charity every week.
That's awesome. We'll talk more about like the breakdown of finances and stuff in
Mhm.
in the next series. And so that's amazing and that's fun. And here's what I'll say, because I really want to keep it straight, because we're going to talk about how to be able to make money, how to be able to use money where you don't feel guilty about it, right? So I'm just curious, what are your emotions about money?
I love it.
That's it. You just love it.
It stresses me out a little bit.
Uh,
If like, cause like sometimes if I go out with my friends and they're like, "Can you pay for me? I'll pay you back."
oh, okay.
Sometimes I don't always get all of it
You
back,
don't get all of it
so then
back.
I lose some more money.
Right. Yeah. That's one of the things you, in general, it's nice to be able to circulate that money.
Mhm,
This is God is money in actions. It's always about being circulatory with money,
mhm.
but also knowing that you have money for stability too, right? And yeah, so I was just going to give an example. So we had a snow day last week and you had a friend spend the night.
Yeah.
And so I do know that at her high school, she has the freedom. Sabrina goes to something that we joke about. It's called Hippie High. And remember that for those who are new to our show, she went to a very polar opposite of a school the
Very.
last 2 years where she didn't have the freedom. So I mean, she calls her teachers by the first name, and they have the freedom to be able to like leave the school. And it's an amazing school. I mean, like, I really have to say, she had this Valentine's Day party yesterday, and I kept thinking to myself that I'm really happy that you are there at this new school. There were many parts of your old school that I really loved, but I also just think I love this strong friendship group that you
Mhm.
have, and I don't think that because I thought about this last year when our oldest went to beach week and I didn't think you were gonna have that. I really did. It was just part of what I was thinking, you know? But so she's got a strong circle of friends at this new school and they go out to lunches. And so I do know that she goes and yes, Sabrina does work. Is it enough to be able to support lunches going out? And, going so twice a week or 3 times a week. I don't know, we get to talk about
Mhm,
that next week, but I will say, so then the next day so you had a friend spend the night, it was a snow
mhm.
day, and then the next morning, I was working from home, and you said I asked her to do something, and she's like, "Oh, I think we're just gonna walk to" what did you say?
With who?
Which
Well,
is
you asked me to make breakfast for everyone, and I was like,
mm,
"I can make it for them, but we wanna go to Le Coop,"
yeah.
which is, like, a small coffee shop that's, like, on the top of our street, sort of,
Mhm.
and it's so cute. I never brought her there. I don't go that often.
Okay,
I
I
went
see
today.
that. See, I'll see that, but it's this is an example of like money is stored in my body where I'm thinking, wow, that's a lot of money for a coffee. And then you had just gone to lunch. I forget, like you guys go to dinner, you guys go to Pitanza and you do all the stuff. And then you go to Georgetown. Remember, because it was a half day earlier that week and you had gone to
Yeah.
Georgetown and then you go, Georgetown is close to her school. And then you often go to Ballston, which is another cute little area where they walk around. So there's a lot of freedom and the freedom to spend
Mhm.
money. So in my mind, I'm just going to share it with you. I think do you have an idea? Do you have a concept of money? Because one of the beliefs that has passed is in my system is that you have to work hard for money.
Mm.
And I really don't think that's true anymore. I'm not saying you don't take
Mhm.
responsibility for that, because I do think if you're smart about money, money can work for you. Again, we'll talk about this later. But this is an example how really becoming observant and aware of our money stories. Is it true or not? I do think you need to work for money, but like just always in awareness of what we are thinking and looking to it and questioning, is it serving you or not? Right. And this is why it's really important in this part of the vision board series, we get to get really clear on what is the money vision that you have, so that
Mhm.
you get to decide, oh, I do get to go to Le Coupe
Mm.
and spend $6 for a latte and $5 for a breakfast sandwich, however much I want, how many
Mhm.
times I want. Okay, so I was gonna just say a couple other associations with money. Money grows on trees. Have you heard that?
I have.
Uh-huh. Money is not for women to manage. Sabrina, I have friends whose they don't manage their money. Their husbands manage the money. I do.
Mm.
We're past. That's not for you, okay? Making too much money makes you selfish or greedy.
No.
You never felt that. Wow. ChatGPT needs to like update their psychology. I wanted to share my own story. Okay, I'm going to move on to segment 2. So segment 1 was just how our money relationship, our money story does get passed down, right? And I wanted to just say we can understand that in segment 2 is just really understanding how our subconscious, unless we're aware of it, going to continue to control your money story. And in this book, I wrote about. Did you read my chapter yet? No. Okay, so Sabrina and I have different. We're being raised different. Okay, you know that, right?
Mhm.
I'm I'm fortunate enough now to be able to support the lifestyle that you get to go to Le Coupe, the coffee shop, and all that. And my mom and dad were very. I was never really ever in want of everything, but I certainly wasn't as generous, like going places.
Mhm.
And so in my book, in my chapter, I wrote about when I was in college. My freshman year, I went to Michigan State University and I grew up 15 minutes away. I grew up in Lansing, Michigan. And I didn't have a choice to go away. It was actually the only college that I applied for. I didn't really even think about it that much, to be honest with you. I knew I was going to go to college and it was just like low hanging fruit. And I applied and obviously I got in and I went to nursing school there. But I didn't really realize at that time that I wasn't going to be able to live at the dorm because I was only 15 minutes away.
Mhm.
So I lived at home and I thought it was okay because I had a boyfriend and I just thought it was going to be, it wasn't a big deal. I didn't know what I was missing, right?
Mhm.
But when I would go to classes, I quickly experienced a sense of separation
Mhm.
because the people who were living in the dorms became friends and they were having experiences that I weren't having.
Mhm.
Okay. And so for the following year, I wanted to join a sorority. And do you know the story?
I think you've told it to me.
Okay. So, okay, go ahead. Tell me.
Well, no, that's all I really.
I thought you
Right.
were no, but I'm curious if you know what I'm going to say.
I don't know. No,
What?
maybe I do.
No, actually, no, I really want to know it because I feel like, and I was just telling dad, I feel like there is what's growing in this time of a higher consciousness is a little bit of telepathy. And I just want to know if my thinking is being passed to yours.
Well, you joined the sorority. That's all I wrote.
You so
That's all I wrote.
telepathic, telepathic. Okay, so you rush when you're in sororities.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
And then what happened? No. You don't.
Party?
Well, no. So when you rush, you go around. You basically interview. You interview these different sororities
Mhm.
that you think that you want to pledge for,
Mhm.
but the sororities interview you too.
Mhm.
Okay. And so I remember walking into a sorority that I had vaguely heard about. And when I walked in, they said to me, "Can you go over there and write your zip code?" Do you have any idea what this means? What this
Just
translates to?
it's the same zip code.
So zip codes are not just they're not just used for like zoning. They're actually
Mhm.
a measure of social status.
Ooh, I did not know
You
that.
didn't know that, right? And so there is a sorority that because of my zip code. I didn't get a play. Well, I don't want to say it was just because of that, but it was because I knew, and it was the only sorority that ever asked for my zip code. Isn't that interesting, right?
Mm-mm.
So I'm probably 20 years old. What do you think I was thinking?
What the heck?
Yeah, a little bit of not good enough and social
Mhm.
status and having money. Money equates to social status,
Mhm.
right? And so that stayed with me. And here's what's super fascinating around this book. So, and I don't know if you know this, Sabrina. So we live here in Arlington and we are part of this neighborhood, and it is North and South Arlington. Forest is our
Mhm.
neighborhood. And in our neighborhood, when you're on one side, you have a high school. And then when you're on the other side, you are distributed to another high school. And when we moved from the north side to south side, and when we moved because
School zones.
there was talk because of the overpopulation of schools in general, not just high schools, elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, there was going to be a rezoning. We didn't think that was going to be an issue. We thought that we were going to be rezoned. But having said that, we got comments. There were comments from some of our friends about, do you know that you're changing zip codes? You're changing high schools. And there it was again.
Zip code.
Zip code again. So I'm just saying it stays with you, this sense of not enoughness,
Mhm.
and it impacts your self-worth. And of course, I've had issues. Is the word issues that I want to say? I'll say I've had to work through processing of my relationship with money, with stuff
Mhm.
in a way that feels really healthy. And I still do. I love money, I do. But it's an intentionality to be able to cultivate a relationship with money that feels good, that
Mhm.
feels aligned. Isn't that interesting?
It is.
What? Yeah,
Mhm.
right? Did you know that about our zip code?
No, I mean,
Ooh.
not our zip code. Fully, but like, I knew the side that we were on.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. So the last part I wanted to talk about here was just how important it is, again, to become aware of like these money stories and that these money stories are always going to evolve and grow. And before we move on into the next few series, the invitation is to kind of write down, at least 10 things of like what money is for you.
Mhm.
Okay. And so I'm just going to give a couple prompts, right? And you don't have to answer, but I'm going to give you 10 and I'm
Mhm.
going to go off the cusp here. This is something that I've used on my course before. Like I'll say a dollar bill is, $100 bill is, doctor is,
Scary.
the association with money, okay? An artist
They make
is,
money.
right? An
Is
artist.
it like a painter or like a music art?
They're all artists. I don't know. You get to decide. All right. So that is 4 I have for you to put out. I can't seem to, in my thinking, come up with the last 6. I do, but for this show, I'm going to put it in the show notes, right? So really just to kind of get your thinking going as far as your relationship and the sort of associations, meaning like what is the belief that we're already putting to certain things and really just again learning about that because it's attached to money,
Mhm.
right? So the last part I wanted to do was just do a quick fact or myth money edition for Sabrina.
Okay.
And I'm just going to give you 4. Well, magic number 4. Ready? Fact or myth. Women are worse with money than men.
Fact.
Really?
I put quotes.
Oh, so for those who are listening, there are air quotes there. Do you know why women tend to be why they're better? They tend to actually be better investors. Okay.
I know that. 'Cause
In
we
here,
strive for more. We want more.
we're ambitious. We're ambitious. Okay. All right. Second one. More money equals more happiness.
Meh.
Hmm.
Meh.
Okay. Why?
Because money isn't happiness.
Where does happiness come from?
The Lord.
The Lord from God. Okay. All true. All true. Your credit score affects how much you pay.
True.
What am I going to
Wait,
say?
I didn't hear it.
Your credit score affects how much you pay for a car or home.
True.
No?
I learned that in econ.
Okay. Ready? You have to be rich to start investing.
Meh.
What?
Right? Meh.
Well, I don't know. Is it a myth?
I think it's a meh.
Can you invest now?
Yes.
Because guess what?
I'm not rich.
You already are. You're already investing. All right. And
Mhm.
we'll talk about that next week. All right. So, this is what we have for you in this episode, the foundation of this money series. And that is for you to get clear on your money relationship, really understanding that money is energy. That's why we started out with that quote, money is God in action.
Action.
And oh, I just wanted to say, I'm wearing this orange thing.
Just going to a party.
I'm going to a party, and what's really funny is that, like, I'm either, like, not showered and in sweats, or, I've been wearing glitter when I do get showered here
Oh,
on
yeah.
this show. So everybody, please, 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 I do have an ask, rate, review, subscribe to our show, whether you're watching it on YouTube or any of the major podcast channels, which we are all on, and share it with a friend because it helps with our visibility, and I think it's really, really important, especially as I'm saying in this episode, for us women to be able to support our gender and supporting and healing the lineage and really just feeling super, super empowered with money, 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 money.
Money, money, money must be funny in a rich man's world.
Thanks for listening.